Thank you everyone who is here and everyone who has come for a second time for campaign kickoff for 2022. No campaign gets elected without you. Thank you so much. I am so grateful to have the support of my community. I did my best to create an event that keeps to the CDC guidelines, and thank goodness COVID is on the downturn.
Yes.
And to give people options to support a re-election to a third term. Sadly, final term in the state house, very short term limits. Right? While not ideal, 2022 is here, and there are so many statewide campaigns kicking off. It is so important that voters are aware and engaged. You are hiring your voices in government for the next 2 or 4 years. It is important that your decision makers represent your values and fight for the funding, the policy, the issues, and the resources that are going to improve your lives daily. I am so proud to be joined by other voices in elected government. These are people who have put themselves out there and sacrificed time, talents to serve their community in so many ways. So I'd like to recognize Mai Zhang, County Commissioner, Matt Sabaugh, District Judge. He had to step out. He had a son's basketball game, and it's always a trick to balance home work. Brian White, School Board Member for Warren Consolidated Public Schools and MISD School Board. Kaja Ahmed, Fitzgerald Public School Board Trustee. Padma Kupa, my seatmate and partner in crime at the Capitol. State Rep for District 41, Natalie Price, Berkeley City Council, and fellow alum of the Merge Candidate Boot Camp, Carl Buckerly, also Warren Consolidated School Board. Man, it means a lot to me as an educator to have people who fight for education stand by my side. It means all the world. Our local state senator, Paul Bueno, thank you. From West Bloomfield Public Schools, Ken Ferguson. And candidate for the state legislature in the new House 20 district. And as I said, quick turnovers. Right now, we have a committee that has almost all teachers making education decisions. Guess what? In the next 2 years, that's not going to be there. And we need more education voices stepping up to advocate for our students, our schools, and our teachers. We need those voices, pointing out some of the inane policy that's being pushed through. State Senator Stephanie Chang.
All right.
Welcome to Warren. Stephanie's new state Senate district will include most of West Warren. So if you have not met Stephanie yet, please reach out, get to know her, because she's a valuable voice to have. And I'd like to invite up Christina Lodovici. There's Christina. There you are.
Thank you, Laurie. Just like Laurie, you know, she's always thinking about everybody else. This is her fundraiser, and she makes sure to recognize every single person in here and what they've done and how they've helped our community. So Laurie's committed to transparency and accountability in government and services. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
To our community. When the community calls and emails and all of the assistance was needed during this past couple of years, Laurie stepped up. She responded. She started, none of us really knew how to use virtual anything, you know, as well as we should have. And look at what we're doing now. She had a community conversation this morning, which if you couldn't attend in person, you could have gotten online and you could have watched it and spoke with people there. I mean, there's so many things that we've done over the past couple of years that our leaders here in this room have stepped up and helped us out to keep going forward. Not only was she there for developing policy requirements for unemployment to be improved in communications, she's also got unanimous and bipartisan support voted out of the House. She's still fighting to advance it through the legislation process in the Senate and making progress. Laurie organizes town halls. We've had quite a few thanks to her, to focus on attention on important topics like school safety, mental health, small businesses responding to COVID-19, and veterans resources. She sends emails, newsletters, and valuable information and updates, everything from hunting and fishing licenses, which she put out a post, you can go fishing right after this. It's open to everybody this weekend. Veterans services, educational information, and annual progress reports. Laurie shows up to all of our community events. My kids' school programs and stuff like that, they see Laurie and they go running because they know she's there for her. Laurie is in the classrooms for March's Reading Month. In fact, my kids are super excited, and they've been talking about it to all of their friends for the last week. So they just can't wait. And next up, I'd like to introduce Joel Rutherford.
All right, yeah.
And Joel is the president of our Flag Caucus for Macomb County, and he is everywhere and active and involved.
Thanks so much, Laurie, and thanks, Christina. I've got to go over some of the things that Laurie's accomplished here. So, excuse my laundry list, so to speak, but it's just something I think it's important for people to know and understand just how much she's done. And I've got to use notes because this old man can't remember so much. In Lansing, Laurie's a respected legislator, recognized for her experience, and represents our community. Laurie was appointed by Governor Whitmer to serve on the COVID-19 Return to Learn Task Force. She represents the Michigan House Democrats on the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services COVID-19 executive data calls, getting the latest information on a constantly changing situation for COVID-19. She served on the Education Committee for 2 terms, fighting to improve quality of public education for all Michigan kids, expanding access to early childhood education, increasing pupil funding, which everybody knows how important that is, changing the narrative on career and technical education to recognize the trades and manufacturing as career pathways to prosperity. Because there's a lot of people, myself included, college just wasn't for me. And these are the kind of things that truly make a difference, because I say this: what we want are careers, not just jobs. And that's one thing that career trades, skilled trades, and things certainly provide. She's served on the Health Policy Committee for 2 terms, supported legislation that will improve prescription affordability, including capping insulin costs at $50 a month.
All right, yeah.
Anybody that's taking insulin, just how high those costs are. And for people that are, I know other retirees like myself that, you don't want to get in a situation of, can I, pay rent, or do I get my prescriptions or buy groceries? I mean, no one in this country should have that. And I appreciate everything that Laurie's done for them. She served on the Financial Services and Insurance Committees. She's advocated for consumer protections, fair rating factors for insurance policies, and she's not done. Laurie's introduced legislation to fix the fix. Over and above assigned duties, she's joined other legislators on issues that she's passionate about and recognizes the impact on our community. A chairperson of the Legislative Educational Caucus, co-chair of the Legislative Cancer Caucus, serves as an ally to the LGBTQ+ caucus. To better represent our diverse community, she belongs to the Asian Pacific American Legislative Caucus, Legislative Labor Caucus, Poverty and Homeless Caucus, Disability Caucus, Gun Violence Prevention Caucus. I'm wondering when she sleeps. But the one thing that I really would like to say that, a special talent that Laurie has is she can be the smartest person in the room, but she still listens. And I think too often times what people get frustrated about are elected officials that come in and always tell people what they need instead of listening to what their desires are. And that's one thing for the time I've known Laurie. She always takes that time, she listens, and even when people disagree with her, she still takes the time to listen. She's fair about things, but she's not going to compromise her principles. So I'm glad to be one of your constituents.
One more voice in the room I'd like to add. He said, nobody says this many nice things about you until you die. And so at a funeral, you know, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to have these lifted up. So it does keep you going every day, especially when you're having a bad day. So I'd like to invite Padma Kupa. To tell you all the dirt up in Lansing.
I don't know if I'm going to say anything about Lansing. I will say this about Lansing. I'm Padma Kupa. I represent House District 41, which is Troy and Clawson. Because of the way the districts have been drawn, Laurie has actually, Representative Stone has actually had a big challenge because most of her district that she currently represents is now in another district. So she's going to have to start all over again. I also am starting all over again, and one of the decision factors for me about running for state senate was I would lose Laurie as my seatmate because I am running for state senate now. And so that was one of the line items that I listed to evaluate, because she has been the best seatmate one could ask for. She's very thoughtful on policy. As we get the feedback from within our policy, we have policy advisors when we vote on things. And Laurie is even more thoughtful. We evaluate not just the general policy, but how it will impact our district. Because each of us represents a different set of people. And really having that vision and understanding that what might work for her and my vote might need to be different, and being understanding of that, because I do have to take some hard votes because I represent Troy and Clawson, and just the camaraderie. The other thing that I love is the piece of advice she gave me, which is don't get a headache, be the headache. Give them the headache.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to serve in the minority. It's really, really hard to serve in the minority. So now I want you to look on your table. You have some glasses that say 2022. 2022 is really important because these are the midterms. This is the year that everyone predicts that Democrats aren't going to show up because it's President Biden at the top, and so people are like not going to come out. We need to get people to turn out. We need to work hard to build our brand again with these new districts. And so please, please sign up to volunteer, give her money, give her time, because this is the only way she's going to go back and stand in our values, because that's something that Representative Laurie Stone does so well. So well. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how committed she is to our core democratic values. I will start crying. I mean, I remember when I started running and Senator Chang was then state representative, and she did this for me. She talked about why why I would be a good representative. I know, and you all know why Laurie is a good representative, but we need to send her back. We need to get her the gavel so that she can actually legislate. So help her, tell friends, and just re-elect Laurie Stone in 2020.
That's amazing. That's a booster shot for you. And so those are amazing references that when you put a call out and someone says, yeah, I'll speak to who you are, what you stand for, what your name means, and I'm going to need that. So I'm flipping to the new 13th House District, which will be roughly Hoover to Hayes, 14 Mile to 8 Mile, and down to the Osborne neighborhood in Detroit. So when asked, where am I going to file? I said, that's easy. That's where I live. I'm not cherry picking a district because it's most convenient for me. It's where I live. And it might mean new boundaries, new neighborhoods, new communities, and I'm okay with that because this is my community. It took hard work to get here the first time. It's taken hard work to get here every time. And it's going to mean meeting more people. And so the more that you can help raise the voice and be my references in the new community, that means the world. And it will make a difference. So I will need volunteers. I'll need help on the doors. I'll need help phone banking. I could use help with postcard campaigns. I think there's something that everyone can be comfortable with. I know everyone's not comfortable with everything, but there's something you can do, whether it's social media, a phone call, a contribution, and you are all here today, so this is a big, big lift, a big boost. So I'm so anxious and fired up to go from here and to get out there. There is so much we have left to do, and let me tell you, having a governor that can stop bad legislation makes all the difference in the world. The hard part is when people go, but you're the governor, how come you didn't do all these changes? Because so many of those changes come from the legislature, and she's the last stop to put it there. And so if we want definite changes, generational change, we've got, not just to re-elect me, we've got a lot of elections to win in the next, not even year. We don't even have a year, guys. So I really appreciate it. I do want to give a special shout out to my team in Lansing and in district. Renee Watson is my constituent director. An all-around volunteer, Don Jakubowski, started as constituent director, now legislative director, and all-around volunteer. And one of the latest additions is Portia, and Portia Acharna is an intern who is full-time student sophomore at MSU, going through all this craziness and volunteering her time at the Capitol. So thank you so much. I just want to say there's lots of food there, and there are carry-out boxes. So take one, eat some now, and take some for later. And thank you so much for your support. I'm going to put a shout out because we're never not wearing more than one hat. Rep. Koopa is literally wearing the hat for One Fair Wage. One Fair Wage is the campaign that we did 2 years ago to get signed into law that there would be a $15 minimum wage, that the Republicans then, after it was put to a ballot initiative, overwhelmingly Michigan voters supported a $15 minimum wage. The Republicans and the legislature adopted it, and amended means they went and stripped out the language that the voters voted for. That's right. And petition collectors spent hours collecting signatures of support, and they changed it. And our minimum wage is still significantly below what it takes for a living standard. So there are a lot of petitions out there. Read them carefully. If you get a chance, sign on to this one. It's a good one. But read them carefully, because people will lie about what you're signing your name to. There's a lot of bad ones, and there's a couple good ones. So if you need any advice, call me. Have a good day.